My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review for The Blob, and this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but it didn't hit me until earlier this week that Bob from Monsters vs. Aliens was a spoof on The Blob. I don't know how I never picked up on that before. Just went right over my head apparently, but this is a really good movie. I just love this plot of this blob that mysteriously shows up and it goes around killing and dissolving people, and the more it does that, the bigger it gets. It's just a perfect premise. I know it's a remake of a movie that came out in the 50s, but I grew up watching VeggieTales, and there's a part of me that whenever I think about this movie, I also think about this Larry Boy short where there's this fib from outer space, and anytime someone tells a lie, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and wreaks havoc. But this is the more R-rated, human-fied version of that story. No cucumbers here. So yes, a great plot, and I just love how smartly written this movie is. Like, it sets up this one character, Paul, to be the main character, that he's going to be the one going on this hero's journey. But then he gets killed at the end of the first act, and it just catches you completely by surprise, and it's really effective. And the way that certain characters die, like you've got the sheriff meeting with the waitress from the diner, and you think they might be main characters, but no, they get killed off pretty easily. There's two kids, and one of the kids actually dies, and you see the body. That's pretty much unheard of in a horror movie. So you just got this tension that nobody's safe, and there's so many great character beats in this movie. Whether it's oh my goodness, why am I blanking on the guy's name? The main motorcycle guy, the greaser. He goes through a great arc where he only looks out for himself, but he kind of becomes a hero in this movie. You've also got Meg, who goes out of her way to try to rescue people. And on top of that, you've just got these small moments like this one guy who's making out with this girl, and he goes to the back of his vehicle and he has like a whole bar there and this box filled with rings that he uses to pick up women and all that. Now the guy turns out to be the worst kind of person, but I do like that kind of attention given to the characters. Everybody, no matter how minor or major, feels alive in this world. And I do think that's really impressive. There are some good, funny moments in this movie. Like, there's one scene early on where the two friends are picking up condoms, and he runs into this priest there, and then he goes to pick up the girlfriend that night, and it turns out her dad is the priest that he saw earlier, and he just looks at him like, ribbed. It's a really funny scene. So I love the humor in this movie, and I also love the practical effects. This movie looks amazing, and I said it when I reviewed The Fly last week, and I'll say it again here. We don't get movies like this anymore. This movie came out in like 1988, and it still holds up incredibly well. These practical effects elevate this movie up every opportunity they get. It just looks so weird and gross and disgusting, and I love it so much. Like when someone's stuck in the blob and they can't move and they're dissolving, absolutely horrific stuff. Or when somebody's in a phone booth and the blob is crushing it, looks absolutely phenomenal. And I love The Fly, I love this movie, I love Hellraiser, I love Reanimator, I love Brain Dead, I love Day of the Dead. I love so many of these 80s horror movies, even though Brain Dead is 1993. But still, I love these horror movies from that time because the practical effects just are really amazing. Truly. Like I said in my review for The Fly 2, the only other one I can think of recently was Color Out of Space. There was a movie called The Void that apparently had cool practical effects. I have to check that one out. And I think before that, it might be Slizzle. Like, bring back this genre because I love it. I just love watching this creature go through people left, right, and center because there's so much creativity and craftsmanship on display, and it just the sound is great, it looks great, and just the way that they go about certain moments, like the movie theater scene, well, the lights are just going on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. It just creates this chaotic feeling, and I just think this movie is very well directed by Chuck Russell, who also did one of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies, Dream Warriors. Love that movie. And he also did one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies, The Mask. I really enjoy that movie too. I know his track record isn't the best present day, but he's made some gems in the past, and this is certainly one of them. And you also just feel the horrific nature that if you're caught by this creature, you dissolve alive, and it's truly horrifying to even think about. There's some great tense moments, like whenever an air conditioner or sink is clogged and someone goes to check it out, you're just on the edge of your seat, like, don't do it, and then they do it, and then they die, but still, some great moments. And I do think the cast does a good job. You've got Shawnee Smith playing Meg, who, if you've seen the Saw movies, she's Amanda in those ones, and I think she does a good job here. Not a great performance, but still good. Then you've also got Kevin Dillon, who I like as well, Donovan Leitch Jr., he does a good job, Jeffrey DeMunn, Candy Clark, Joe Senica, and Del Close. They all bring an appropriate amount of life to their characters. So that's some stuff I do like about the movie, but it's not perfect. Unfortunately, it doesn't get to the level of something like The Fly for a couple reasons. I do think the first half of this movie is better. When the government agency starts getting involved in the second half, it's not bad, but it's definitely the least interesting of the two halves. And the fact that this creature isn't from space, but it was made in a lab, is a very blah reveal that it just does nothing for me. And as much as I love the practical effects, you can tell they use some CGI for the big climax. And as soon as you see it, you're like, yep, that's CGI. It doesn't look anywhere near as good as a practical. So there's that. And also the fact that there's this snow machine filled with liquid nitrogen. It's pretty convenient. Maybe we saw it earlier. I don't think we do though. Maybe it's in the shop when Kevin Dillon's character's there. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, that's crossing it. But I think my biggest issue with this movie though is that there's scenes missing. Like there's certain moments where I'm just like, wait, the scene ends there, or did we miss a scene? Like the Blob dissolves Paul in a horrific manner. Meg just passes out, and next thing we know, the cops are there. The Blob just left Meg there for some reason. Why? I truly don't get it. Then Meg goes to bed, she pretends she's asleep, her parents leave her room, and then she gets up, crawls out of her window, but next time we see her, she's driving a vehicle. Why not show her take her parents' vehicle? And then we've got Meg and, oh, I wrote it down here. Kevin Dillon's character's name is Brian. We've got Meg and Brian in the cafe. They're not sure where the Blob is, and we just saw it destroy the booth. And then he grabs a brick and he says they're going to go out the front door. But then it cuts to the priest outside the cafe, and he sees the Blob go into the sewers, and then he walks in and the cafe is empty. So it's saying that Meg and Brian already left. But then did they just walk past the Blob destroying the phone booths? It's a very weird edited sequence. Then we've got Meg getting attacked in the sewers, and you think she's about to die, but then 3 agents show up out of nowhere. And it's like, where did these guys come from? Why would they want to save her? They clearly don't care. And then Meg is escaping like 10 seconds later, and Brian just shows up on his bike. And it's like, why not show Brian driving in the sewers, letting out her name, and he hears her screaming, and he heads in that direction. Just a few small things that would have made this movie feel a bit more cohesive, because it does feel choppy in certain moments. But look, my issues aside, this is still a really good movie that I can't recommend enough. It subverts your expectations in some very smart ways in the first act. It's got some good character moments, it's got some nice humor, but it has terrific horror. The practical effects just elevate this movie every opportunity they get, and despite my issues with it, I still have a lot of fun with it. So I'm going to go ahead and give The Blob a 7 out of 10. Okay, did you watch The Blob? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.